Good morning class, today we are on page 12 of the book. Hoy día vamos a ver la página 12 del libro, ¿ok? So, we are going starting reading the lecture that we have there, and after that we are going to answer the questions and say that if they are true or they are false, okay? So, let's begin. The Global Positioning System, GPS for short, is a wonderful invention. GPS devices tell you where you are and they give you directions, but how they do it? When early explorers sailed around the world, they used the stars to show them their position. Now, drivers can use GPS to tell them their route in exactly the same way. The only difference is that GPS uses artificial stars, satellites. There are more than 20 GPS satellites in space positioned about 20,000 kilometers above the Earth. They have atomic clocks which tell the time to an accuracy of 1 second in 3,000 years. A GPS device compares the positions of 3 or 4 satellites and figures out exactly where it is. It does this several times a second and is usually accurate to 20 meters anywhere in the world, but the GPS user needs to give inaccurate information. Drivers sometimes get lost and end up on the wrong street, in the wrong city, or even the wrong country. And there are stories of extremely lucky escapes. A man using GPS found himself on the edge of a cliff, and a young woman drove onto a railroad tracks in front of a train. A taxi driver followed GPS directions into a river and continued driving until his taxi got stuck in the mud. He explained, "It told me to keep going, so that's what I did." Now, we are going to answer if they are true or false, okay? Number 1. GPS use satellites like explorers use the stars? True. Number 2. GPS satellites have clocks which tell the exact time? True. Number 3. A GPS device can calculate its position from one satellite signal? False. It calculates its position by comparing the position of 3 or 4 satellites. Number 4. A GPS device checks its position very frequently? True. Number 5. A man who followed GPS directions drove off a cliff? False. The man found himself on the edge of a cliff. Number 6. A taxi driver drove into a river because he didn't listen to his GPS device? False. The taxi driver drove into a river because he followed GPS directions. Now we are going to look at this sentence from the text. What do the words in italics refer to? Number 1. They use the stars to show them their position. Early explorers. Number 2. Drivers can use GPS to tell them their route. Drivers. Number 3. But the GPS user needs to give it accurate information. GPS device. And number 4. It told me to keep going. The taxi driver, okay? Now we have this question. What about you? Imagine you are in a world without cell phones, the internet or GPS. How do you communicate and find your way around? Now we have to remember this part. There are many different kinds of GPS devices, some of which are for use on foot, often for people hiking, and others for use in aircrafts or cars, as well as telling you where to go and giving you your location. GPS devices can show you the best routes somewhere and can help you avoid traffic jams. You can even buy a GPS device now that gives you information about historical places you're passing. By 2020, it's expected that there will be more than 400 million GPS users.